back. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about how to check your cap and ball revolver to make sure it's not loaded. Okay, so this is basically a muzzle loader. The way this works, right, for those of you seeing this for the first time, is basically you take loose gunpowder, you pour it into each of these chambers, then you take a ball, put the ball there, and then you use this lever to press it down one at a time. And then you put caps over here. You spin this around, you put caps one by one. So I've done other videos on how to load a cap and ball revolver, so I'm not going to demonstrate this. If you're interested in doing that, just look up my channel name and cap and ball revolvers, or 1851 Colt or 1858 Remington, right, along with my channel name, and you'll be able to see the videos where I show you guys, demonstrate how to load and shoot these things. But in this video, I specifically want to talk about how to check it to see if it's loaded. Okay, so the first thing I would do is I would check the nipples back here, right? Right, you can put on half cock. That's like a safe position. All right, the hammer can't drop when it's in a half cock position. Spin it around, check each of the nipples here, make sure there's no caps there, right? And then the next thing you gotta do is basically you gotta point the gun up, away from your face, but point it up and look down the face of the cylinder into each chamber, and make sure nothing is in there. Okay, let me give you guys a peek. Let me get behind the camera. So first I would check over here to make sure that there's no caps on each of the nipples, right? And then you look down the face of the cylinder into each chamber and make sure there's no balls in there. Okay, now for comparison's sake, I'm going to show you guys one that is loaded so that you guys can see what it looks like when it is loaded. Okay, so put this in a half cock position. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this. Here, we get behind the camera so see it's nice and focused. All right, so you get behind the camera and you can see how you got caps. All right, so that's your first indication, right? If you see caps, you know the gun's loaded. The next thing you do is you're going to point the gun up away from your face in a safe direction and look down. There you go. So you can see each of the balls in there, right? The lead balls, and they got wax covering it. Okay. So you can see that this gun is loaded. Okay, so the way this would look like if you're actually doing it is, again, pointing the gun away from my face after I check the back. Okay, I'm going to point this up away from my face and look down each of the chambers, and I will see if it's loaded or not loaded. In this case, it's loaded. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decock this, okay? And with the 1858, I can rest this between the notches, and now this is safe to carry. Okay, with the 1851, I don't recommend. If you're going to carry the 1851, I recommend carrying this on an empty chamber. There are like little, almost like little spikes, little studs actually, in between that you can rest this on. However, those studs are really small. I don't trust them a whole lot on the 1851. So if I was going to carry this, I would carry this on an empty chamber. So this has 5 chambers, so I would only load 4 and keep 1 empty. However, with that's the Colt 1851. However, with the Remington, because you've got a nice rest over here. Let me get again behind the camera. Where are you? See between the nipples, you see how there's a rest over there? That's where your hammer rests. Okay, now keep in mind that first of all, you shouldn't be dry firing this because the hammer falls directly onto the nipples and it'll damage them. Okay, now the other thing that you should be aware of, okay, is if you cock back and you slip it, right? Let's say your thumb slips and falls, and it will fall directly on those caps. That can set the gun off. Okay, so just gotta be aware of it. When you cock this thing back, the way I normally cock this, right, where I'm shooting one-handed or two-handed, I point the gun up. The reason why I point it up is because I need those caps to fall down into the ground. If you cock it like this and you pull back, a lot of times they'll get caught up in the gears and they'll jam the gun up. So you gotta point this up, all right, and cock back. Now the other thing that you'll notice is you see how I got my hand in the trigger guard. Okay, So contrary to modern day practices where normally you don't put your finger on the trigger until you're on target ready to shoot, okay, this is single action only, okay? So it's not going to fire until the hammer has been cocked back. But because of the way I need to cock this, where I have to point the gun up to make sure that the caps fall out, by putting my finger in there and pushing forward, I am ensuring that this gun is not going to fall out of my hand. Okay, so that's part of the reason why they made the trigger guard so small on these cap and ball revolvers. Now, mind you, this was the assault weapon of its day. This was not meant to be defensive. This was an offensive weapon. This was used by cavalry to charge into battle. Okay, so normally you're driving, you know, you're controlling the horse with one hand, and you're shooting this one-handed. Okay, so that's why, you know, even going all the way up to World War II. I mean, in the military, they still taught people to shoot pistols one-handed. It wasn't until way after that shooting pistols two-handed became a common thing, and that basically carried over from the cavalry days, where of course you're going to be shooting the gun one-handed because you're controlling the horse with the other hand. So if you're controlling the horse with this hand, right, and you're coming out of the holster, right, immediately as soon as this comes out of the holster, right, before this comes out of the holster, your finger has to get into that trigger guard, okay, because that's what's going to ensure that you don't drop your gun, right? And because it's single action, doesn't matter if you press the trigger, nothing's going to happen until you cock it. So you actually put it in there, you use that as a hook to get the gun out of the holster, lift it up, then you press your finger forward, right? So basically this thumb is pushing up, and then you cock the gun, and then basically you'll fire. And every time you cock it, before you cock it, you're going to come back up here, cock it with the gun pointed up. But the main thing I wanted to talk to you guys today about was how to check if the gun was not loaded. So first you check your caps in the back, then you look down into each of the chambers and you check them. The reason why this video came up, rather the idea for this video came up, is I was watching a different video which was meant to be a comedy, right? Some young man was shooting one of these guns at a propane tank, and after he shot it, it looks, you know, the result was basically like almost a nuclear explosion. So it was meant to be funny, all right? So that's besides the point. Let's figure. But what happened is after he shot the gun, right? This one, which is not loaded. Okay. After he shot the gun, basically he put it into half-cock mode and he did this, right? You know, or I'm not exactly sure how he did it. You know, maybe he did something like this, because you can see all six. You can see all six of the chambers by doing that. So he basically looked down the chambers to make sure that the gun was not loaded, and a couple of people in the comment section were flipping out because it seemed to them like he was looking down the barrel to see if the gun was loaded, but they didn't. You know, of course, them not being familiar with the cap and ball revolvers, they didn't realize he was looking down the chambers to make sure that each of the chambers was not loaded. Now, I think that there was some other things that basically his gun handling could have been better, okay? But that's besides the point. What I wanted to bring out the point, you know, what I wanted to demonstrate today is how to check if a cap and ball revolver is loaded, or to how to be sure that it is not loaded. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and like I said, look up some of my cap and ball revolver videos. You might find them interesting. Again, just look up cap and ball revolver or 1851 Colt or 1858 Remington plus my channel name, and you should see a whole bunch of them. I'll talk to you all soon.